Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the Biography. Today we'll be discussing the story of the Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was the leader of Nazi Germany. His fascist agenda led to World War II and the deaths of at least 11 million people, including Jews, physically and mentally disabled people, and the homosexuals. Hitler was born on April 20, 1889. He was son of Alois Hitler and Clara Pauls. He was fourth among their six children. Hitler, as a young kid, wanted to join the fine arts as a career, which was not acceptable for his father, who was emotionally harsh. After Hitler's brother Edmund's death in year 1900, Hitler became detached and introvert. Hitler had interest in German nationalism, opposing the authority of Austria-Hungary. This became a motivating factor for him. In 1903, Hitler's father died, and 2 years later, his mother let him drop out from the school. After her death in December 1907, Hitler moved to Vienna and worked as a casual laborer and watercolor painter. Later, Hitler applied for the Academy of Fine Arts and was rejected twice. Hitler then stayed in homeless shelters due to lack of money, where he first cultivated his anti Semitism. In 1913, Hitler relocated to Munich. At the outbreak of World War I, he volunteered to serve in German army. He was accepted in August 1914, though he was an Austrian citizen. Hitler spent much of his time away from the front lines, but in the Battle of Somme, he was wounded. Hitler was decorated for bravery, receiving the Iron Cross First Class and the Black Wound Badge, but he was shocked by Germany's surrender in 1918. Like other German nationalists, he believed that the German army had been betrayed by the civilian leaders and Marxists. He found the Treaty of Versailles degrading, particularly the demilitarization of the Rhineland, and by the fact that Germany accepts responsibility for starting the war. After World War I, Hitler returned to Munich and continued to work for the German military. He monitored the activities of the German Workers' Party and adopted many of the anti Semitic, nationalist, and anti Marxist ideas of the party founder Anton Drexler. In September 1919, Hitler joined the DAP and changed its name to NSDAP, often abbreviated to Nazi. Hitler personally designed the Nazi party banner, appropriating the swastika symbol, placing it in a white circle on the red background. He soon gained popularity for his criticizing speeches against the Treaty of Versailles, rival politicians, and Marxists. Early followers of Hitler included Army Captain Ernst Röhm, the head of Nazi paramilitary organization, which protected meetings and frequently attacked the political opponents. In 1921, Hitler replaced himself as the new Nazi party chairman. On November 8, 1923, Hitler and the SS stormed a public meeting featuring the Bavarian Prime Minister Gustav Kahr at Munich. Hitler announced that the national revolution had begun and declared the formation of the new government. But after a short struggle that led to several deaths, the coup, known as the Beer Hall Putsch, failed. Hitler was arrested and tried for high treason and sentenced to 9 months in prison. During the 9 months in prison, Hitler dictated most of his part of his autobiographical book Mein Kampf to his deputy Rudolf Hess. The first edition was published in 1925 and the second came out in 1927. In the first edition, he shared his anti Semitic, pro Aryan worldview along with his sense of betrayal at the outcome of World War I. The second edition outlined his plan to gain and maintain power. The Mein Kampf was provocative and was appealing to many Germans who felt displaced at the end of World War I. With millions unemployed, the Great Depression in Germany provided a political opportunity for Hitler. In 1932, Hitler ran against 84-year-old von Hindenburg for the presidency. Hitler came second in both rounds. He got more than 36% of vote in the final count. This result established Hitler as a strong force in German politics. Hindenburg reluctantly agreed to appoint Hitler as a chancellor in order to promote the political balance. From 1933 till the start of war in 1939, Hitler and its Nazi regime introduced hundreds of laws and regulations to restrict and exclude Jews in society. On April 1st, 1933, Hitler implemented a national boycott of Jewish businesses. This was followed by the Law of Restoration of the Professional Civil Services on April 7, 1933, which excluded Jews from the state services. The law was Nazi implementation of the Aryan paragraph, which called the exclusion of Jews and non-Aryans from organization, employment, and eventually from all aspects of public life. Hitler's policies also targeted children with physical and developmental disabilities, later authorizing a euthanasia program for disabled adults. His regime also persecuted homosexuals, arresting an estimate 1 lakh men from 1933 till 1945. Some were imprisoned or sent to concentration camp. Between the period of World War II, Nazis and their collaborators were responsible for the death of 11 million people, including the death of two-thirds of the Jewish population in Europe. As a part of Hitler's final solution, the genocide enacted by the regime would come to be known as the Holocaust. Deaths and mass execution took place at Auschwitz, Bergen, Dachau, and many other concentration camps. Prisoners were used as laborers for SS construction projects and were subjected to starvation, torture, and painful medical experiments. Hitler probably never visited the concentration camp and did not speak publicly about the mass killing. By the early 1945, Hitler realized that Germany was going to lose the war. The Soviets had driven the German army back into the Western Europe, and the Soviet army had surrounded Berlin. On January 16, 1945, Hitler moved his center command to an underground air raid shelter near the Reich Chancellery in Berlin, known as the Führer Bunker. The shelter had about 30 rooms spread out over 2,700 square feet. At midnight going into April 29, Hitler married his girlfriend Eva Braun in a small civil ceremony in his underground bunker. Around this time, Hitler was informed about the execution of Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. He reportedly feared that the same fate could befall him. On April 30, 1945, fearful of being captured by the enemy troops, Hitler committed suicide. He took a dose of cyanide and then shot himself in the head. Eva Braun is believed to have poisoned herself with cyanide at around the same time. Hitler was 56 at the time of his death. On May 2, 1945, the Berlin fell to the Soviet troops. 5 days later, on May 7th, Germany surrendered unconditionally to the Allies. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Kindly do like, share, comment and subscribe to the biography and stay tuned for the new content every week.